impressed. And I know many of you were as well. And I'm delighted that the topic today is in a similar front, is how can we defeat the enemy, COVID-19 and senior living? And one of the main ways is keeping our environment safe and clean. So we've got to identify if our staff and clients are positive or asymptomatic, but a surefire way to cut down on that also is making sure that all of our surfaces and environments are as clean as they possibly can be. And so that's what the discussion is going to be about today. And I am going to start bringing on our panel members. We've got Rayne Guest from Our Water, and we've got Kevin Wilbur and Aubra Franklin from Franklin Park Senior Living. And so let me see here if we've okay, so let's see. I'm asking them to share their video, and I know Aubra is in transit, so I'll unmute you, Aubra, in just a moment here. So first off, Rayne, here, if you want to unmute.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great. Here, and I'm going to take down, I'm going to stop sharing so we can see you there. We've got Rayne Guest, who is with a company called Our Water that provides a cleaning product that we're in a process for senior living communities. And then on the phone, let me unmute, we have Aubra Franklin. Aubra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Aubra is with Franklin Park Senior Living, and we're excited to sort of get a firsthand account, Aubra, of you know, how things are going with COVID there at Franklin Park, and the steps that you and your team have been taking to create a clean environment. And then we're going to learn about the solution that that Rayne's company provides, and I believe it's one that you guys employ there at Franklin Park. But Aubra, before we kind of get into this discussion, tell us a little bit about yourself and your position at Franklin Park, and a little bit about your background and how long you've been in senior living.
Okay, I'm Aubra Franklin. I'm the founder of Franklin Companies, and we got into senior living back in 2001, starting with more of a independent living, senior apartment concept. But then from there, we really, moved into more of the campus and independent living, assisted living, memory care. So right now we have 7 communities that we manage, 5 that we own, and 6 that we own. And so my background with Rayne and her product goes back 4 years. So we installed the system in all of our communities over the time period when we were bringing new communities online. And my thought back then was, obviously had nothing to do with any global pandemic. It just had to do with her product and the fact that it was sustainable, the fact that it was, so safe to use. And when you look at the typical cleaning products in a community, they're very caustic, they're just very, very hazardous chemicals. So we put those in just to have a cleaner, quality of air and environment then, and knowing that if we use it properly, we would probably reduce our flu cases, which was exactly what happened. So, we look, pretty smart right now when the pandemic hit, knowing that we could pump 300 gallons of this, and Rayne will get into more of the details of the actual product, I'm sure, but, there's really nothing like this on the market at all, anywhere. So, that's just a brief background on what we're doing.
Yeah, and now most of our audience, although it's growing nationwide for these online discussions, most of our audience is in the Mid-Atlantic, and we always love it when we get folks that are outside of the Mid-Atlantic, where are you based out of, and where are your communities?
We're in Texas, San Antonio and Dallas.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, these events that we're hosting right now. We used to do live events on a pretty much a monthly, bi-weekly basis, and I've been really charged up that we can now have panel members and speakers that we would have never had pre-COVID. Um, so the okay, well, this is good. So Aubra, if you can stay on hand, because I know we're going to have some questions for you, and I'll come back to you here briefly, and then also feel free to jump in. Just out of curiosity, before I get over to jump over to Rayne, what are some of the challenges or sort of successes that you're seeing with your communities in, aside from making this great decision to bring our water system on pre-COVID? What's sort of the zeitgeist at your communities in the COVID-19 down there in Texas?
Well, I'm gonna let Kevin dive in on that. But you know, the initial huge success was we didn't have to worry about finding disinfectant. You know, we can pump 300 gallons a day. You know, we let our staff bring it home. We use it at our house, our office, I mean, everywhere you can think of it. We basically walk around with like tanks, like Ghostbusters, and spray and everything. You know, so you know, that's kind of the global thing. We just didn't even ever, you know, blink with respect to having our communities disinfected. But Kevin has a lot more, you know, detailed, specific, you know,
Okay.
operational things that are going on.
All right. And I think we're waiting for Kevin to get on, so he may or may not make it. But
let me text him and see where he is.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so let me mute you, and let's get to know Rayne a little bit better here. All right, Rayne. So first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work for, and then we can dive into, you know, how do you help communities like Franklin Park and other providers out there?
Yeah, so I started our water back in 2012. So basically, we have a patented device that enables our facilities to produce 300 gallons of healthcare grade disinfectant and 150 gallons of all-purpose cleaner daily. So I initially got into this technology because I was in recycling programs previously, and I saw the horrible effects of chemical concentrate containers, you know, like the plastic containers that our chemicals come in, what they did to the environment once they were thrown into landfills. And then I started learning about all the horrible health effects that these products had on the workers using them day in and day out. And then I started learning about contact times and how long a disinfectant actually has to sit on a surface for it to be effective against the germs it claims to be effective against, and the EPA requirements about all that. And I just saw a lot of holes in the industry and a lot of ways things could be improved. So I started our water, like I said, back in 2000. Well, actually, I moved to Texas in 2012 to set it up really, but we started beta testing with the city of Los Angeles as early as 2010. So in 2016, we went into our first extended care facility. And yeah, we did it because we wanted to help. You know, being in healthcare now, I learned about healthcare acquired infections and all the people that get MRSA and C. diff. And my mother's a retired nurse practitioner, and my father's retired colonel in the military. So, you know, growing up, I heard about infections in military bases and infections in hospitals everywhere. So really, it's just about wanting to help the world in a lot of ways. Infections, plastic waste, human health, just hit them all with one technology. And that's what we have.
Great. I'm really eager to kind of hear how this works in action. Okay. And I'm glad to see that we got Kevin Wilbur, the CEO of Franklin Park, online. Kevin, can you hear me?
Sure. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Kevin. We got to chat with Aubra a little bit about your organization and your different senior living products, and he sort of shared, you know, how happy he is to have addressed the disinfectants with our water prior to COVID-19. The question, well, first off, just you could share with our audience a little bit about yourself. And one of my questions that I always like to ask when we have senior living providers on is how the whole, from a big picture, outside of just keeping a safe environment, what are some of the challenges and successes that your team has been facing in COVID-19?
Yeah, sure. As Aubra probably shared, we're primarily focused on the senior side. We're focused in Texas. Have a little over 1,100 apartments total spread across 8 communities. And prior to the uptick in COVID over the last month or so in South Texas, we were able to say that we had one resident with COVID and no employees. Unfortunately, over the last month, we've had we've had a few more residents with it, and employee-wise, I'm probably tracking 20 some employees that possibly have it. Some of them have it. Some are at home. We're still doing pretty well though, actually. I mean, talking to some of my compadres across the industry, I mean, they're in some of them in much worse shape. And so our biggest challenge through this, honestly, before the last few weeks, has been keeping residents sane. I mean, their families can't visit. So providing mechanisms for them to do that. Some with technology, some with good old-fashioned, just here's a window. Family sit on one side, you sit on the other. That's been actually the best one because you can actually see each other. The technology's been good. We've used a lot of video calls, mainly video calling actually with cell phones. We found the best. I know there's a lot of companies out there setting up systems, but we are doing the technology. I mean, it's just on your cell phone. Just call the family and talk to them. Put it on the screen. Yeah, and just keeping the residents engaged. It's life enrichment or activities is a lot different today. Of course, it is when you can get them all together in one group, but it's still working well. As far as the use of our water in our communities, that's somewhat why our numbers are down, because we've always used our water. I mean, we've been using it several years now. So when it started, a couple things that were really beneficial. Number one, that it's less than a minute of contact to get COVID virus. I mean, that's awesome, because the problem with a lot of cleaners, they take minutes of contact. No one's going to spray it and leave it there for 10 minutes. I mean, I shouldn't say no one. Maybe some people are doing it, but it's typical to spray it on, wipe it off, and leave. So with water, you get a better chance of actually filling it. But the other thing is the supply chain side of it. When this first rolled out, you could not buy anything. You couldn't get cleaning chemicals. You couldn't get anything. We had, the 2 products that our water provides, the disinfectant and general cleaner. They're made in our building. We had gallons of a day. We wanted to. In fact, we were able to send it home with our employees. We do send our water home. The disinfectant, most of our employees have small little bottles, similar to, wherever my camera is, similar to this, that they fill up and take home with them so they can spray their car, spray their home, and whatever they need. So I think that's been very helpful to us, and it was something we didn't have to worry about sourcing. So I could spend all my time trying to find masks and other PPE that I need.
Great.
Maybe we can. Oh.
Yeah, thanks for the overview. And now I think myself and the entire audience is curious. We want to kind of see exactly how does this system dispense the product and how does it work, Rayne?
Well, so basically, can I take your screen so I can just show a picture of it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So down at the bottom there, screen share.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, yep. State-of-the-art technology. Yep. Got it.
Yeah. So this is a computer system. This device is 25 inches wide by 31 inches tall. And basically it's mounted on the wall in a janitorial closet. We hook it up to a water supply, a cold water supply, plug it in, and add salt pellets to it. And they're not proprietary salt pellets, although they do have to be pure salt pellets. And inside the device, we actually separate the salt. So salt is sodium chloride. We separate the salt internally and recombine it with water on either side of a cell, and then you get two products from that. With the sodium, we make a product that is 750 parts per million sodium hydroxide, so it's over 99% water. That product we call FC Plus, for Floor and Carpet Care Plus More. That's what people use to clean carpets and grout and clean kitchens. You know, anywhere you have dirt, grease, or grime, that's where you want to use FC Plus. You can actually use it for power washing outside. It just has a lot of uses because it's non-toxic, it doesn't hurt employees, etc. And then with the chlorine, we actually make TK60. TK60 is 99.98% water and 0.02% hypochlorous acid. And hypochlorous acid kind of sounds scary, but it's actually what your white blood cells make to fight germs. It's actually the part of bleach that kills germs as well. So the staff just goes directly to the machine and pushes the buttons on the bottom, and they can fill up spray bottles, mop buckets, auto scrubbers, carpet cleaning equipment, backpack sprayers, however they want to apply the products, they just dispense into those systems. So, and it's a smart computer system, like I said before. So as they take product out of the machine, it starts regenerating more. So it's, you know, it's a very low maintenance, easy for the staff to use. As you can see in the front, there's a little window. Those are salt pellets in there. So as long as the staff keeps salt pellets in the device, it runs on its own.
And how often do you need to
add more salt?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on your usage. It takes about 2.5 pounds of salt to make 1,000 gallons of product.
And from a perspective of like a building, like a Franklin Park building.
Let's say they're probably refilling it every month.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't ask what your background is. It sounds like you've had a white lab coat on in your life.
Not since college. I have a really good team of engineers and chemists around me, so.
No, this makes perfect sense, especially as Kevin had mentioned, from the supply chain perspective, and just the fact that this is something that you don't have to worry about. And you had mentioned, so like when you compare this product to the other products that, let's say, senior living communities may be using from suppliers, like, again, just reiterate the benefits of this product over some of the other things.
Yeah, I just put up a chart that shows how TK60 compares efficacy-wise to other popular products that are actually more purchased in hospitals, but so they do fall under the healthcare grade category. So what happens a lot, whether it's in senior living or hospitals, they clean with a two-step process, right? They generally have their base disinfectant product that generally has a 10-minute contact time. And most quaternary ammonia 10-minute products actually have to be reapplied 2 to 3 times to stay wet for 10 minutes. So then that's what people generally use for everyday disinfection. Then if you have a case of C. diff spores, they go back and hit it with a secondary product, something probably from Clorox or something that kills C. diff spores. So it's just really a time-intensive, labor-intensive process to clean and disinfect these facilities properly. It takes a lot of time. A lot of the products, like Aubra had mentioned, are harmful, and like bleach products ruin surfaces and materials, and owner-operators, the last thing they want to do is start degrading surfaces because that's expensive remodels. So anyway, so with our product, it's 1 minute, one-step process, go spray everything down. It has great surface compatibility, and you're done. And you're hitting the wide range of pathogens. So COVID, really is a fairly easy virus to kill, right? It's not C. diff spores, it's not MRSA. But fortunately, with our 1-minute contact time, we do kill MRSA and we do kill C. diff spores. So along with COVID, we're going to be protecting residents from those other illnesses as well.
Wow. We're starting to get some questions coming in here. So Sean Curry, his question is this system only for assisted living, independent nursing centers, or is it available or being used by any other businesses like doctor's offices?
Yeah, so I mean, anywhere that people use a lot of product for cleaning and disinfection, you know, we're in schools, we're in, you know, oil and gas companies have been purchasing it now to disinfect their rigs. They actually really like the FC Plus product because it melts grease off the rigs, in their words. Yeah, so anywhere you need to clean and disinfect.
And this may or may not kind of tie into this, but another person asked the question, how much does this cost?
Well, it depends if you want to rent or buy the system. So rental, you're looking at about $900 a month. Purchase, you're looking at about 22 grand for the system.
Okay. Have
so
you
very
found
reasonable.
In the senior living space, is there been a preference for leasing versus buying?
I think in the senior living, I'm seeing more leases right now because people, they want the, you know, to come out of their operating budget. So generally we're able to save people right after we install, save them money in month 1. Well, the other thing is too, I should mention, these products can be used in dietary as well. So the disinfectant is actually written in FDA code. It can be used on food contact surfaces without a rinse. And the FC Plus product is phenomenal at degreasing and cleaning as well. So the 2 products can be used throughout the whole facility. And it really simplifies, you know, procedures overall, because now instead of using 10 products, the staff is only using 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another benefit.
Kevin, out of, well, this is a question for both of you, but so do most properties just have one dispenser? You'd mentioned the food service. I could see where it would be beneficial to have multiple dispensers. How does it work at Franklin Park and you know, Rayne?
We have, most of our buildings have one machine. One of our large buildings has 2, but as we build new large buildings, we only went with 1 because it produces more cleaner in a day than you could ever use. And it's portable. I mean, you put it into whatever containers you need and you take it to their site. And once you've made the product, put it in a container, it lasts for about 7 days. So it's not like you have to keep going back to the tap to get it. They can take a quantity of it to the whatever department's using it.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in hospitals, like what one of our hospitals was able to do throughout this crisis, because, you know, nobody was able to get disinfectant, they actually filled up 5-gallon caddies and distributed it around the community to all of their satellite clinics as well, so that they didn't have to worry about having product either. So it really does. 300 gallons of disinfectant a day is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kevin addressed this briefly, but Sharon Parver asks, once mixed, how long does the solution retain its strength?
So for our full healthcare grade claims, C. diff spores, you know, that we actually like to have people dump it every 4 days. So once you put it in a container, 4 days later, you know, refill. But, you know, people use a spray bottle. I mean, they'll use that in a shift. So we just actually usually recommend, and especially in hospitals, that at the end of every shift, they dump it and then fill it fresh. Which,
again, I mean, you pay your lease. I guess there's a fee for the salt.
No, my investors hate that I don't charge for salt, but I really just can't quite bring myself to repackage salt pellets. Okay. No, so we give you some recommended salt to buy, but it's $8 for a 50-pound bag. You can get it at Home Depot or Granger.
So this is not like a proprietary type of salt pellet?
Not the salt. Now the process is patented. The device itself is patented. Yeah, but yeah, it's, I just want it to be readily available for people.
Yeah,
So
this is
we let
great.
them buy their own salt.
Excellent.
The cost of running the machine is really negligible. I mean, there's really no cost as far as, compared to the
Now,
cost of buying.
Kevin, it costs you a quarter of a penny to make a gallon of it.
Right, exactly. I mean, the cost is whether you're leasing the machine or buying it front. There is a cost to having the machine, but if you spread that across the entire building and all the chemicals you buy throughout all the different, departments, and then you figure the life of the machine is, I'm answering things Rayne should be saying, but I would think the life of the machine, I would view it as a 5-year life when we make investment. Now, we did purchase our machines because they were generally into new buildings where there was a budget, to do that. If you're going to do an existing building, you might like the lease better where you don't have to top up all the money.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, definitely, it's affordable when you start really looking at it.
Well, in Christus Hospital, they just did a study on room turn times. They showed that rooms were able to turn 57% quicker using the 1-minute contact time versus a 10-minute contact time product. And, in hospitals, obviously you want to turn rooms quick, OR rooms quick. In extended care, you don't want your staff spending all their time cleaning a room. You want them to be able to focus on other areas of quality care. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about, is just that labor aspect. People can be doing other things besides cleaning and disinfecting.
Well, yeah, and I think Kevin had brought it up, is even if you're using a product that has a 10-minute time, chances are your staff is not letting it sit for 10 minutes. So
it's a long time to let a product sit.
Yeah, you're paying for something that's probably not being utilized to its effectiveness. Whereas a product with a 1 minute, you can spray it around, and by the time you're wiping it down, a minute has gone by. So
well, and the other thing to realize, is even if the way the EPA testing is, even if you let a healthcare grade product, sit on the surface for 10 minutes, one of the organisms you test for healthcare grade testing, you only have to kill 95% of it in 10 minutes to pass the EPA's requirements. So with the TK60, we call it TK60 because our lab reports show 100% kill in 1 minute.
Wow. Got a few more questions here. Can you purchase products without the system, and how long is it effective once produced? And I was kind of curious on your thoughts on that, Rayne, is that, and it would be nice, well, number one, I think, and then the next question from Merrill is there any thought to creating something for a single family home or townhouse level? I know that we have a lot of home care providers on the call who, are providing one-on-one care. And I didn't know if your company is going to be launching anything, or if you can make recommendations on different products where it might not be feasible to purchase the machine, but you can give some folks some guidance in that area.
Yeah, so as far as the first question, can they purchase just the product without the device? The answer to that currently is no. We're regulated by the EPA as a antimicrobial pesticide device versus an antimicrobial pesticide. So with that regulation, we are unable to bottle it and ship it somewhere. We're regulated as a device because the device actually produces the solution there on site. So currently, no. However, we are working with some organizations to make the product available in a store setting. So the goal would be to, when you go to your local Whole Foods or grocer chain, that you can bring bottles that you can refill at the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that would be what I would like to see for the home use aspect, and then also for those providing home care.
What a great idea.
Recommend, if you got friends, if you're in that home care business and you have friends that have an extended care facility, I would ask them if you could go fill up from their device. We want people to utilize, we don't charge per gallon. We want people to use it as much as possible and to make it available to people as much as possible.
Huh. What a great, I mean, one of the things that COVID-19 has done is it's brought together our provider community in ways that I've never seen in my 30 years. And what a great concept for partnership is that, a community with one of your devices could be sharing their disinfectant with home care providers or other providers.
Right.
That's
Kind
really
of the give your neighbor a cup of sugar sort of mentality. Yeah. We actually have a state representative, Kyle Biederman in Texas, who purchased a system to put in his Ace hardware store. And he's letting the whole community come there to fill up from it for their homes because people couldn't get product for their homes.
Man, wow, this is really cool and really innovative. I mean,
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
No,
Oh, okay. Allison asks, does it smell like bleach or other cleaning products, or is it okay on the lungs?
Well, Kevin, you can answer that.
Yeah, it has a slight like pool chlorine smell to it, but not like the chlorine that you're dumping in the pool. It just has a slight water smell, kind of, but very little. I mean, I've never had employees complain about the smell or anything like that. And I don't believe I've had, well, I know I haven't had anybody that has made me aware of it anyway, that there's any lung issues or anything with it. I wouldn't think so. It's pretty mild. We spray it all over, even our office. We go get it from a building. As she was saying, we go borrow it in one of our communities. And, we spray it all over our office. We have big pump sprayers that we spray all the door handles and all that good stuff. And when she sprays it, when the person goes around spraying, I don't even notice that she's doing it. So.
Yeah.
We actually.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the reason we got into healthcare to begin with, we always get called in when there's a problem that needs to be solved generally in the beginning. And one of the first hospitals we went into was because they were having issues on their respiratory floor with the chemicals they had previously been using. So we were able to go in and solve that issue for them on the respiratory floors and on the cancer floors of the hospitals.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, Ann Coyne says, are there any centers in the Mid-Atlantic and local area currently using this equipment? Now that I suggested that people might partner with people that have these machines, and you're, do you have anything here on the East Coast currently? Any clients in senior living?
Gosh, we're mainly in Texas and Louisiana and, expanding out. We just went into, a few months ago, Friendship Village, Dublin, Ohio, maybe, is that?
Okay.
Yeah, and we're building up
you're
there.
A relatively new company. It sounds, 2016, really kind of getting this going. So
yeah.
It's really exciting to have you on because I think this is really innovative technology. And as our speaker on Friday, where we were talking about COVID-19 testing, he's sort of like, we're ramping up and preparing ourselves for COVID 2.0.
Oh yeah.
With the flu season around the corner. So just out of curiosity, like if there was a community in our audience that was interested in doing an install, what would be the turnaround in terms of to kind of get the product and be able to begin using it?
We're keeping inventory in stock right now. So we just recently partnered with a medical device manufacturer, E4D, in Dallas, Texas. So we're keeping machines ready to ship. So once we get an order from somebody, they do have to fill out a site survey form. We do remote monitor these devices. So we do need an Ethernet cable to be hooked up, and we do require softened water enter the device. So those are two items that do need to get prepped. But as soon as people are ready, we can ship.
Okay, great. And then, and then the installation, is it, how involved is that?
Well, I can do it, so it's not that involved.
All right.
No, basically it's any facilities director can do it. A lot of people are opting for just getting some remote assistance from us during the process.
Okay, got it.
You know, we can have installers go in and do it if they prefer, but because people are typically trying to keep people out of their facilities right now, they're opting more often than not right now to do it themselves.
Great. Ann Coyne asks, is talking about soft water, she says, is the salt pellet and system function like a water softener in a personal home?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Whoops, okay. Let's see, where is it here? Is the salt pellet and system function like a water softener in a personal home?
Well, you use the same salt pellets for the water softener there that you put in the machine.
Okay.
You can.
Have you had anybody install this in their personal home besides you and your immediate family?
No, it tends to be cost prohibitive for most homes.
Okay, great. Let's see. Elizabeth, I see a couple of questions over here in chat. And again, guys, if you want to make sure your questions or comments, at this point, you can also raise your hand if you want to verbally ask a question. Let's see. Elizabeth Brazil says, what square footage is suggested for 1 unit? And I guess it's not necessarily square footage. It could also be sort of just the general layout of a community or facility.
Yeah, you know, again, we kind of back into that with people and say, okay, what's your current annual usage of chemical, right? How many gallons of disinfectant do you currently go through annually? And then we can, you know, back in it from there. But 300 gallons of disinfectant, I mean, we have 400 room hospitals with long-term acute healthcare hospitals in them that have 2 systems to service the whole hospital,
Okay.
including ORs, satellite clinics, et cetera.
Great. And then let's see, Monique asks, any maintenance involved with the actual advice?
Yeah, so we have an annual maintenance program on it. Part of that is the remote monitoring. And then there's a cell inside the system that actually separates the salt. And those ion selective membranes need to be replaced annually. So that's, yeah, but we have a service team that can do that, or we can certify somebody on site to do it if somebody wants to do it in-house.
Okay, great. And that ties in with Meryl also just asked a question, what type of contract do you provide for breakdowns?
So we include in the rental price, we actually include all the maintenance in that, parts, labor, all of it. Great.
Man, all right. Well, we got through all the questions that have come in here. What I would say to folks is that for the remaining few minutes that we've got, definitely raise your hand if you'd like to share something with the audience. It could be on this topic. It could be on a different topic. We've got a few minutes before I'm going to wrap this call up. And while I'm waiting for anybody to raise their hand or not, and we just shut things down a little bit early, to Rayne and Kevin, any sort of closing, any additional thoughts on this topic? Oh, you know, I wanted to recognize, Rayne, I thought this was really interesting. The news broadcast that you shared with me this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about that, because I think as we're moving to hopefully someday return to baseball stadiums and things of that nature, talk a little bit about this drone product.
Yeah, so it's our product that they're putting in drones. We actually formed a partnership with the Aviation Academy of America, and they are putting TK60 in drones so that they can use the drones to go and disinfect large stadiums and arenas, indoors and outdoors. And we're really just looking for ways to help everybody get back to business as usual and to help bring some of these important aspects of our culture back. And athletics, of course, concerts, They're all really important. So we're just trying to help and working with other companies that have other mechanisms of delivery for the product to help do so.
Great. Let's see. Joe Hassel says, what's the best way to get additional information about this product? I can, in the follow-up email where I share the recording and the chat transcript, I will share Rayne's information with everybody. So hopefully that'll be helpful. And then Martha Cooper says, do you have other products in your line, or is it basically these two products?
No, the TK60 and FC Plus literally replace tens of thousands of disinfectants and cleaning products. So we like keeping it simple. We simply give our customers what works. You know, the two products, I mean, they replace so many other products. So down the road, you know, I'm sure we'll have larger systems and smaller systems and stuff right like that. But right now it's that one device that produces the two products.
Is TK60 being considered by schools? What kind of?
We're in schools. We went into Texas State University back in 2015. We're installing in more Austin universities this week. And also elementary schools up in the Midwest. We've been getting a lot of calls, like in Ohio, for schools. And I mean, it's really safe for kids.
Yeah, Sean's follow-up is there's no toxicity concerns with this product, correct?
Nope, you could give all the kids their own spray bottle to spray on their desks and to disinfect things as they go around. I mean, I believe, Kevin, you guys do that with your residents, don't you? You give them access to their own bottles to go and use and spray.
Yeah, we do, especially in independent living. Our independent living residents are typically have their own bottles and can use sanitize as they're doing things in their kitchen or have guests in their apartment, whatever the case is. Assisted living and of course memory care, not so much, but not because it's a dangerous practice, because it's our responsibility to keep for them.
Great. All right, guys. Well, thanks for that last round of questions there. Thanks, you guys, for traveling so far from Texas to be with us today in Washington, D.C. This really, you know, today and Friday, I just really feel like both topics are very much addressing, you know, tools that we can use to sort of attack the enemy in senior living. And I will follow up with all the attendees with contact info, with a recording of this. And I'm eager to see your product out there in a big way. What a cool invention that you came up with.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, and Kevin, if you and the Franklin Park is ever looking to expand in the Mid-Atlantic, by all means, give us a call. Because I know we'll have plenty of referral sources for you in this region. But
yeah, that's awesome. And I was going to let you know to feel free to share my information as well if anybody has questions about its in use. I'm more than happy to help them out with that, or just any questions they have with it. We certainly dealt with it a lot down there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, all right, guys. Well, thanks
Thank you.
again, and we'll be talking to you everybody soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.